Today, we're diving into the story of the Rajputs, a legendary warrior class that dominated northern India for centuries. But their story isn't just one of epic battles and glory. It's a lot more complicated than that. I want you to think about that question, because the entire story of the Rajputs hinges on this one paradox. The idea that the very code of honor that made them such incredible warriors might have also been the thing that sealed their fate. And it all kicks off with the collapse of an empire. So, to set the stage, we have to go back to a period of total chaos. For almost 200 years, three massive empires had literally fought each other to a standstill. This was called the Tripartite Struggle, and it was all about who would control the heartland of North India. By the time the dust settled, the last real unifying force in the region, the Gurjara-Pratiharas, had completely fallen apart. And this didn't bring peace. No, not at all. Instead, it left this huge power vacuum. The whole region was just fractured, leaving the door wide open for someone new to take charge. And wouldn't you know it, into that chaotic void steps a new group, the Rajputs. The name itself literally means son of a king, and they are about to define an entire era of Indian history. Okay, so you've seized power. Now you have to legitimize it, right? You need to be seen as true Kshatriyas, the traditional Hindu warrior caste. And what better way to do that than with an epic origin story? This is where the Agnikula myth comes in, a legend that the four most powerful clans were literally born from a secret fire to defend righteousness on Earth. But here's where things get really interesting. You have the myth, and then you have what historians think actually happened. While the legend talks about a divine birth from a fire pit, the historical reality is probably that the Rajputs were a really diverse group, a mix of Central Asian tribes who had moved into India and local warrior clans, who all kind of merged and were integrated into Hindu society as this new warrior elite. Now, Rajput society wasn't built like a modern nation-state. Everything, and I mean everything, revolved around the clan. It was all about kinship. You were either Suryavanshi, a descendant of the sun, Chandravanshi from the moon, or Agnivanshi from that sacred fire. This created unbelievable loyalty within your family, but, and this is a huge but, it made uniting the different clans almost impossible. And this brings us right to the heart of what it meant to be a Rajput, their warrior's code. It was this all-encompassing martial ethos, where honor was, without question, more important than life itself. Just let that sink in. There was no such thing as a strategic withdrawal, no tactical retreat to fight another day. Turning your back on the enemy for any reason was the worst thing you could possibly do. It was a disgrace worse than death. And this belief led to some pretty intense rituals. One of them was Saka. When a battle was lost, when defeat was absolutely certain, surrender was just not on the table. Instead, the men would put on saffron robes, the color of martyrdom, and ride out one last time for a final, desperate charge, fully expecting to die. And that code, tragically, extended beyond the men on the battlefield. To avoid being captured by the enemy, which was seen as the ultimate dishonor, the women and children inside a doomed fort would commit jihar, a mass self-immolation. Together, Saka and Jihar showed just how absolute this belief in honor over life really was. But here it is. Here's the paradox. The very same code that made them such fearless, formidable warriors also carried a fatal flaw. It basically guaranteed they could never truly unite. If you look at North India during this time, it wasn't one big Rajput empire, not even close. It was a total patchwork of rival kingdoms. You had the Chauhans here, the Solankis over there, the Paramaras down there, all of them powerful, all of them proud, and all of them constantly fighting with each other. And that's the absolute key to this whole story. Their code of honor wasn't about protecting a nation. It was about gaining personal and clan glory. And that worldview fueled constant, endless infighting. They fought over a tiny piece of land, over a marriage alliance, over any perceived insult to their honor. Their greatest strengths, that warrior's pride, had become their greatest weakness. All this infighting couldn't have come at a worse time, because while the Rajputs were busy fighting each other for glory, a new, highly organized and formidable power was rising to the northwest, the Turkic invaders from Central Asia. So when invaders like Muhammad of Ghazni and later Muhammad Ghori began to push into India, each Rajput clan fought back with incredible courage. But that's the key. They fought separately. There was no grand alliance, no united front. One kingdom would fight and fall, while its neighbor just watched, sometimes even hoping their rival's defeat would benefit them. So let's just connect the dots one last time. It all starts with a society built on fierce clan loyalty. That loyalty fuels a culture where you're constantly fighting your neighbors for personal glory. This, in turn, makes it impossible to team up against a common enemy. And the end result? The entire region is left wide open to invasion. The Rajput code created some of the bravest warriors in history. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But their story leaves us with a pretty heavy question. Is it possible for a code of honor, if it becomes too rigid, too focused on individual glory instead of collective survival, to actually cause a kingdom's downfall?